Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hello. Ho, 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 I should actually say.
Hee hee.
Hee hee. Welcome. This is hee hee and ho ho. Those are our elf names.
They are.
So we just, first of all, thank you all for understanding that we do so solid through the entire year. And then it feels like, honestly, I think it honestly has been the last couple of years. It's like I get sick and then we take a little bit of time off. Then we come back and then, or one of us gets sick and then the other one eventually gets it. And that is what happened.
That's what happened. I got a very bad sinus infection and I'm still nasally and I'm still coughing. And by the time we get to this episode, I may not have a voice, but I'm here. I feel fine. It's just the residuals. Still no COVID. Surprisingly.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrifying. But we are recording virtually because Melisa has been beamed up back to the mothership. Arkansas swooped her up.
Woo pig suey.
That's what the aliens said when they came and got you. So we are doing virtual, but you should definitely still watch the video version on Patreon because both of us, without being planned, are wearing hats. Melissa's is much cuter than mine.
Man's festive. You know, I love a holiday. I love a time to dress up.
We're kind of coordinating in the sense that like I'm wearing green, you're wearing some red, and then we've got pink and yellow. It's maybe what's
cute.
It's kind of a yellow. I don't know. It's yellow. It's like a diarrhea yellow, you know?
That's the yellow that I was coughing up.
Oh yeah. This is sinus infection yellow.
Yeah.
Wow,
I stopped seeing that yellow on Monday. So excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
You know, I haven't been infectious in over a week, but I got on the plane last Friday and I was like, I hope I don't cough. But you know, a mask kind of like because you're breathing hot air, so it makes like a little steam for you. So I didn't cough one time. Yeah, I didn't cough one time on the plane. I was like, this is great.
No, there's something like I love masks in general. Like I love what they do for like, you know, protecting germs, bacteria, little spit particles. I love it for concealing my bad breath and other people's bad breath. Right. But an underrated benefit of them is in the winter, it's a mouth scarf. Like I'm cozy. I would wear one indoors by myself, just like piss off all the anti-maskers. But I'm like, I'm sorry, it is so much warmer. Like it's so warm.
Yeah. And the plane, for some reason, they put the lights out, even though we were flying at 10 o'clock in the morning. They turned the lights out like it was a nighttime flight, but everybody was chilling and sleeping. Yeah, they were like, go to sleep, and most people did.
That's literally like they hypnotized you. Like,
Yeah.
shh, don't question it. That's so funny.
But I'm here. I've had one birthday party so far. Still, I have 3 this weekend and a graduation. So,
Like you've got the family is stacked on this end of the year.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you. I can't wait for us to start our own holiday. Little vacation, and we go to Colorado soon. But yeah, I guess we're recording this before we record Don't Blame Me. So I shouldn't give so much of like a because it'll be the other one earlier in the week. This is But Am I Wrong? A podcast starring me, Meghan, and you, Melisa. 2 icons, legends, living legends, currently, knock on wood.
I mean, depends on the day.
Legitimately. I mean, I'm always a legend, but am I always living?
Right.
Who are never wrong. We are constantly right. It is the burden. It is the cross that we have to bear. It is the weight on our shoulders. And so we decided that because we constantly have to be right all the time, or we are right all the time, that we have to share that knowledge and that wealth with the masses or whoever is listening to this podcast.
The masses.
The masses. So we have multiple segments. We start off with us sharing our own hot takes or personal things in our life and proposing the question to each other. Are we wrong? Am I wrong? Then we move on to the But Are You Wrong segment where you write in with your personal dilemmas, things happening in your life, workplace squabbles, friendship beef, anything in between. And we let you know if you're the hero or the villain of your story. And then finally, we nominate the worst of the week, the Woat of the week, the Rachel of the week, the But Are They Wrong? Pop culture, celebrity, news, politician, anything that's just like the shit show that we think deserves a public bashing. With or without, actually always with tomatoes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, tomato, tomato, tomato. But Melisa, tell them what one of the best parts of this podcast is.
One of the best parts of the podcast, besides the 2 of us, is that y'all get to vote on Fridays. Who knows when we'll actually do it because it's the holidays and things
Holiday
are
time.
loosey goose. We post on Instagram everything that we talk about on the show, and y'all get to vote
on who you think was wrong. And then on our Friday episode, we read the results and we get to know what you all think. And we also welcome discourse of people messaging in why they might have voted with the unpopular opinion, all of that. We'd love to hear from all of you. So I initially was like, oh, I've got my like kind of silly hot takes that I love, but I have a new one that was kind of spurred today based off of a message that I got. And my hot take, which I don't even think is that hot of a take, but I think it might be for some people, or not even just like controversial, but revolutionary. Okay. I am desperately pleading for people to understand that when you share things, it is not broken up into 2 groups of you're either complaining or you're bragging. Sometimes people just share things to share things. And I think this like culture right now, the woke culture right now, the libs of TikTok. No, the right now, like what we think the things that blow up online are Karen videos, like people yelling, like all of these different things, or, multimillionaires doing like my Birkin collection and all of that I think we like kind of get on the offense when we watch people's content online, that we assume that we have to put them in one of 2 categories because that's what they're doing. And I think a lot of people are now consuming content that they don't enjoy. But I got this message from someone where I was like, this is absolutely unhinged. Like, Melisa, this is so unhinged.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I was like, I almost responded to this person, and maybe that could have been my, but am I wrong? If I responded, like, I don't think you're well. Like, truly, like, I'm so sorry for whatever you're going through right now. Like, sending you love and light. So I made a post this morning, like just funny, innocuous, like Mott's got home from work last night and was like, oh my God, I can see he was peeing in the bathroom. And he goes, oh my God, come here. And I was like, are you pooping? I don't need to see this. He was like, no, I can
like the color of his pee.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm good. And also like, you don't remember to flush enough for me to be like floored by never having seen your urine. And he was he was like, I can see my breath. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. And so it was cold in the house. And so he could see his breath. And I was like, oh yeah, like there's like the steam on the window, like because it's warmer. It's, our body heat is warming it up.
Condensation.
Exactly. And I posted a video of it because he was like, see if you can take a video. And I captioned it. Let's see. Moth came home from work last night and realized the house was so cold you could see your breath. LOL. And we're laughing. And this person messages me and says, I actually can't do this without laughing because it's just so unhinged. A lot of people live like this normally, especially in the North and the Midwest, but a space heater, this is just the most out of touch thing to post about, especially when you try and constantly push an agenda. I was a longtime follower, but this has pushed me away for good. You're complaining about not having heat in a $1 million house. You should be lucky. This isn't even a partly bad situation to be in. We lost power for over a week in a huge snowstorm about once a year. Everyone has a right to complain when life gets tough, but this is not something to complain about every fucking second. There are multiple solutions. And once again, many live like this normally. This was actually heartbreaking to see you post this.
What?
Melissa, there's not a single period. There's not a single punctuation mark in this entire thing. I'm like,
can you read the first line again?
A lot of people live like this normally, especially in the North and the Midwest, but a space heater, this is the most out of touch thing to post about, especially when you try to constantly push and agenda.
I'm guessing instead of but, they meant buy a space heater.
Buy.
Okay.
And I think an agenda, unless.
Yeah, I got that part. Yeah. I don't know what to say to this.
No.
Like, why are they even sending it?
Melissa, I'm sorry, when you said this was actually heartbreaking. First of all, part of me is I'm so sorry you're in such a fragile state that this really pushed you over the edge. But at the same time, I'm like, have you never been through shit in your life that this broke your heart? Are you?
And what agenda are you trying to push? Because they said you were trying to push an agenda. Yeah, big heater. We add that to our list. Big heater. You're anti big heater because you won't put a space heater in the bathroom.
What? I'm truly floored and shocked. And it's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, there are certain things I will definitely complain about. But other times it's just like, oh, haha, look, you can see your breath. This is so funny. LOL. But it doesn't have to be either or. And it's just so wild to me that this would make people upset, as in the same lane that I'm just so do you want me to be I can't make a joke about laugh about the fact that we can see our breath and I responded and I said, not complaining at all. I don't mind the cold and it could be a lot colder. I'm enjoying bundling up, just sharing a funny moment. Did
they respond to that?
No.
Are they still following you? Because they said they were unfollowing you.
No, they're not following me anymore because
I don't think they were following you to begin with.
I think it was too triggering. No, they responded to other stories.
Okay.
I also think that there's something funny about thinking that the people that you watch online or whatever, that everything is catered to you and for you. And so it's just okay, well, this is a personal attack because I would understand that if I was being oh my God, it's so fucking cold. I'm going to die. No one has ever been this cold before. This is the worst. I'm so blah, 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 blah. I fucking hate this house. I understand that because yeah, that's out of touch. But anything else, it just is you're in this really rigid kind of narrow lane. And I saw this TikTok from Celebrity Memoir Book Club where they talked about Molly May's book. And they were saying that when they shared these takes on these memoirs, they talk about their opinions, what they think of all of it. Without a doubt, every single episode, people are oh my gosh, you're just hating. Why are you hating? And they're this is how we get shitty memoirs because we're just sharing our opinions on something that in this sense. And that's why Molly May's memoir sucks because she couldn't say a fuck anything. She felt like she was put into this little, and she didn't say this, but they were saying that has to be why this is so fucking boring because she's not saying any opinions. She's not saying anything. She's staying in this really tiny little rigid thing because either way, she's going to piss people off if she goes too far, to like complains or brat, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like Matthew Perry's memoir. People are complaining because they said that he shared too much. And I'm like, that's what a memoir is about. Like, you're supposed to share the terrible thing. Like, he had some terrible takes on things. But that's the whole point of a memoir. Like, it's not supposed to be so heavily edited that it's like not who you are. You should, if you have terrible takes, you should put it in there so people know who you are. Because if not, then it's not painting a good picture of the person.
No, your memoir should
Accurate, I should say.
Yeah, your memoir should make people either be like, wow, I fucking hate them now. Or like, wow, I really like them now. Like, it should shift perspective. It shouldn't just be like, okay, well, that was that. Like, that was it. I mean, people want to give him shit. It could probably be for the fact that how the weird shit he said about his female co-stars versus
I know, that's
co-stars.
what I'm saying. But like, he said them, and that's that is an accurate depiction of who he is.
And I would rather you tell me. I would rather you say it. So I just think it's just so, it's so wild that it feels like people hate, and as they should, like, you know, exorbitant flashing and flaunting of wealth, but then also toxic positivity, and then like angst and complaining and ranting about like talking like poor mental health, all of this. It's like, there is a spectrum and people are upset on all ends.
Right.
And so it's just one of those things that it's like, okay, you need to decide what kind of content you want to consume. And if your heart broke from me being able to see my breath in the house, like, I'm cozy. That's the other part that I'm just like, I can't share that it's like cold, but I'm like enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so
you
weird.
like being cold. Just like warm enough so you can, you know, live, but you like being cold.
At the same time, I can't even feel when I get that. Like, I'll freeze in the snow. Like, I love that. Like, that's so much better. It's like, if someone wants to come at me for complaining when it was hot, for sure, go for it. I could not shut up about how fucking hot it was and how miserable I was. I was complaining left, right, and center.
It's hard for you to breathe as well.
That is true. But it's just,
people just want how like some other creators are, where they make everything seem like a highlight reel and not exactly
because they hate the toxic positivity. So like, the whole thing that I personally think it is it's just like, you are unhappy with whatever someone is doing, whatever kind of content it is, because they're either too happy and that is rubbing it in your face, or they're complaining and you think they don't have a right to complain. And I just think it's so ironic when people are like, so send me these long fucking DMs about like, oh my gosh, I can't believe blah, blah. I'm like, first of all, I wasn't complaining, but you know who's complaining? You. Like, you're complaining so fucking much. Like, I just think it's people projecting shit, like, without a doubt. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. For anybody who's confused about Los Angeles weather, there are homes built without insulation. Our house doesn't have any insulation. So our house is colder than it is outside. So like, we wake up and it's probably like, I think this morning we woke up and it was like 38 degrees in the house. And that's cold. And we also, California has like wet cold. So you put on your clothes and everything feels damp. So like, the floors are really cold to the touch. Everything's cold to the touch. And we're making it work. We have like our electric blanket is really cozy. I have my wearable blanket that you gave me, which is the greatest thing in the world. I get to bundle up in all my favorite fleeces. If it helps anybody, I'm not calling it cold because it's like 60 degrees. I'm just sharing that it's...
You're just sharing.
Yeah. It's just so odd. Because then I'm like, what do you like that people share then?
Yeah.
You know? Anyways, hope you're okay, Abby. And I hope your heart mends itself. And you've got this. I think you'll survive. You'll power through. I have faith in you. I also got an equally as insane message, but about something totally different. But it's like the same thing of like, you're pushing your agenda. I'm like, what
agenda?
Listen, I do not know. Like, I'm so curious what I like would love to be like, could I just ask this follow-up question? Like, what agenda am I pushing? And how can I monetize this? Can I put it on merch?
You have to have like, sell a course for the agenda.
Yeah. It's like, remember in like middle school when you would play the game and the game is just like whoever thinks of the game. If you think about the game, you lose. And it's like, oh, I just lost the game. That's the agenda.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our new merch. The agenda.
The agenda is just the agenda.
Hey, that's low-key kind of cute.
All right, my turn. Christmas hot takes. This isn't going to be as funny as Thanksgiving, but...
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
I still have hot takes. And I want to say that this is specifically for people that celebrate Christmas. So if you do not celebrate Christmas, and you don't fall into any of these categories, this isn't for you. That's what I celebrate. I'm speaking from personal experience. All right, starting December 15th, which is the day that we're recording, until December 26th, I should strictly hear Christmas music when I'm in the car, which means I'm putting it on, or I'm with other people that celebrate Christmas. We're not listening to top 40 anything unless it's like the top 40 Christmas songs of all times. Certain Christmas songs should only be sung by certain people. Even if they aren't the originators of the song, it's theirs now. And so this list includes All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. She should be the only one singing this. I do not want to hear Michael Bublé's version. I don't want to hear the version that Justin Bieber hopped on. Only Mariah.
Did Glee do one? Because I felt like
Yes,
that maybe that would be your exception.
They did. Only Mariah. But Glee did do one. It wasn't great.
Okay.
Last Christmas should only be sung by Wham. Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love. Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Jackson 5. Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry. The list goes on, but like those specific songs, those are my top 5 that should only be sung by those people. I have others, but we don't have the time.
Last Christmas, Hilary Duff's rendition, I just have to say, is so good. And can I just add on a quick thing? Nobody was here for this conversation because we weren't even recording this. But
no, this was at a kitchen table.
It's the exact opposite of a song that everybody should do a cover of this Christmas. Mm-hmm. This Christmas is not owned by one bitch. This Christmas, there are so many fantastic renditions. I think if you are going to do a Christmas album, should be your audition.
Yeah, you have to audition, but it also has to be good. Because there are a lot of bad versions of it too, mm-hmm. but there are a lot of good versions of it.
And none of those include the one by Chris Brown.
No, not at all. Carolers, don't ring my doorbell. 1, it's cold outside. I don't want to let my good heat outside. 2, I don't need your mouth germs skeeting inside to my house. And it's just awkward. Like there's like 10 people standing there singing while I have the door open looking at you in like my drawers, probably in a robe. Like don't come. If I see you like out on the square downtown, great. Like that's the place I'm choosing to go to enjoy the Christmas spirit. I'm going to see the lights. I'm going to drink some hot cocoa. If there's some carolers there, great. If there's some competing carolers there that are having a sing-off, even better. But don't come to my house.
Honestly, like there's nothing I feel more uncomfortable with than spontaneous group singing. But specifically, like, there's nothing more awkward than, like, you know, someone who, like, in a college dorm picks up a ukulele and just is like, I want to sing you a song. You're just like, haha. And then you add that by like 10 different people and wearing coordinating outfits. That feels like a cult initiation.
It does. Don't come. Christmas Eve, we're making Christmas cookies. There's no like exception for that. We're also putting Christmas cookies out and leaving a cup of some type of milk. And if you have children around, you don't drink milk, you still need to fake it. Like, you need to make it look like, I don't need you just to pour it out like there's only a little bit. You need to put your lips on the glass. You don't have to drink it. Just put your lips there and then pour it out. Make it realistic.
Engage in the fantasy.
Also, on Christmas Eve, we're also opening one gift, no exception. And, you know, the consumerism and the commercialism of Christmas, like, it doesn't have to be a thing. My favorite gift that I've ever received was from my brother-in-law like 10 years ago. He made me this jar that just has Modern Family quotes in it that he handwrote out. And like, I still have that. So you don't have to buy things, just have something nice for the people you love. We should also, unlike Thanksgiving, Christmas, you need all 3 meals of the day, and they should have some little like holiday oomph to it. Like, if we're making pancakes, make Santa pancakes for breakfast. For lunch, let's, you know, make snow with some powdered sugar. But we should have every meal on Christmas, and they should all be festive. Also, Christmas is a time to experiment with meats. Like, you must have a Christmas ham, 100%. But like, also let's if you want to add some lamb in, have a roast, do some seafood. Like, Christmas is the time to have all the meats.
Yes, we kept you in a box for Thanksgiving, and now free yourself from those chains. Make a salmon, glaze a salmon, do maple salmon, do some scallops, do some whatever you want to do. Like, now's the time to get kooky, get creative.
Get creative, and just make it like, it just needs to taste good. It doesn't all have to go together. It just needs to taste good.
What did you eat on Christmas?
We have a variety of things. We 100% have the ham. Sometimes we have a turkey. Sometimes we have duck. Sometimes we have Cornish hens. Sometimes we have, I think they take a little gamey. Sometimes we have lamb. Sometimes we'll do different seafood. So, you know, a plethora of food.
Do you want to guess what I grew up eating on Christmas?
Salad? I don't know.
No. My godfather's ex, like, long-term partner, but they're not together anymore. He would do tamales. So my whole life we would have
we
like
have tamales
banana leaf tamales. And there's a specific pungent smell that comes from steaming banana leaves. And then that would also be paired with Italian ricotta stuffed shells. It was the exact epitome of like, these things do not go together.
Christmas food does not go together. We'll go pick up the tamales. We won't cook them at the house.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
But we have a tamale lady and we'll go pick it up from her. So like, you know, it's just good food. Just good food. The more, the merrier.
Good one.
And my last thing, and it is a very hot take, stop using wrapping paper. It is bad for the environment. You use that Amazon box that it came in or the shopping bag that you got it in. Stop using wrapping paper. I stopped doing this years ago, and I make little cartoons of the person that the gift goes to on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who reuses wrapping paper, ribbons. Like when we wrap presents, like we're wrapping them here this year, but last year we like mailed everything to Colorado and wrapped them there. And we just reused the same box of ribbons that they've had for like 30 years.
If you're reusing stuff, awesome. But like, don't just like rip everything. If you're going to do it, carefully undo it and save it for later.
Yeah. I also love when people do them in like napkins or like.
Yeah. I mean, it all started, people would just use newspaper.
Yeah. Trader Joe's, you can use those bags to wrap too.
Yeah.
I adore your Christmas hot takes. I think they're fantastic. And it's so interesting to see like other people's traditions and like what they do. Like Matz's family, their whole thing was like they would open all of the presents the night before, like on Christmas Eve, like I think almost at midnight. And had to change that up because I would fall asleep. And then thankfully now there's a baby. So it's like, well, we definitely can't do that.
When would Santa come?
They don't do Santa. They do trolls. They say like the trolls brought you.
Is that Swedish?
This. I don't think so. Some Swedes could correct me. I think it was just, I don't know. I mean,
that's what I like Christmas because people just do what they want to do.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that when we've got kids, I think it's going to be like Santa is going to be like Harry Potter, like a fun character that you can like enjoy the content surrounding, maybe a little bit less turfy in origin, but not in a like Santa brings you presents. Because as someone who like grew up with like kids who I grew up like, not in poverty or anything like that, but I grew up with kids who are a lot like had a lot more money and things than I did. And so that was like a hard thing to grapple with as a kid, where it was like, oh, Santa brought me like socks and a beach towel and like a Barbie, and Santa brought you like 5 American Girl dolls. Like, why? Because then it feels like this is like a teacher that doesn't like me as much.
Yeah. That's why I say, make gifts too. They're fun.
Yeah. Plus, don't you want credit? I would as a parent.
I used to say that I did, but I've changed now.
Look at you. Growth. Evolving.
All right. So let's take a break.
We're back. How was the break for you, everybody? Great. Awesome. I love the call and response system we have on this podcast with our audience.
Okay. So now it's time for, but are you wrong? And that's when y'all write in and share and when we judge if you're right or wrong in the situation. And you can send emails to butamiwrongpod@gmail.com and keep it to 300 words or less. You're up.
Woohoo! Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I, 25, she, her, am writing in about a situation with my friend group, Sharpay and Troy, both 24. Back in August, we went on a friend's trip with one other friend. Sharpay fronted the bulk of the trip for Troy, his portion of the Airbnb, plane ticket, etc. This was because we wanted to make it easier by purchasing everything together, and since Sharpay makes the most money, 6 figures with over $300,000 in stocks. Damn, Sharpay, get it. She agreed to put it on her card with the agreement that we would pay her back before we left for the trip. It is now November and we're wanting to plan a trip now for next year. Troy still has about $1,000 owed to Sharpay and stopped making payments last month. Sharpay says that she will not cover anyone's cost anymore, especially Troy, until he has paid back the money. My 2 questions are, is it wrong that I'm in support of Troy paying back Sharpay, even though Sharpay is in a privileged position and isn't hurting for money? Troy makes slightly more than minimum wage, but lives with his family still. Also, would we be wrong to still take the trip if Troy isn't able to pay back Sharpay in time? More context. Troy doesn't pay bills aside from his credit card. My husband thinks we're in the wrong because a few years back, Sharpay needed a place to stay and ended up living with Troy's family for a couple of years in Troy's room, which caused them to basically become family. She's been in their family photos and gone on trips to visit his extended family. He also thinks that it's wrong that she's expecting the money back when she makes significantly more than him. What do you guys think?
I think that you have a missed opportunity here because you said this was because we wanted to make it easier by purchasing everything together. And you should have said this was because we wanted to make it easier because we're all in this together.
I love the second I started to know. I was like, I know what she's doing. Yeah, that's actually crucially where you failed.
Yeah, and I've never even seen High School Musical, and I'm here for this.
Well, because it is just a moment in history, even if you haven't watched it. And you should watch it because Maud's like literally fucking loved it. So, okay, here's the thing. I think in retrospect of like looking at the whole big picture sort of a thing, I think it would be totally fair and like understandable if Sharpay was like, oh, you've got $1,000 left. Like, don't worry, I've got this. Like, you know, you've been there for me, blah, 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 sort of a thing. But that shouldn't be like expected. And if you don't have a conversation about it and like the expectation is you're paying money back, like you have to pay the money back, like regardless of who you've borrowed money from. Like I have to pay my mortgage. I borrowed money from the bank. Like that's just because the bank has more money than me doesn't mean that they should like, I mean, okay, if we want to get into like capitalism and shit, like I don't think it's just one of those things that is just kind of like, it's just, if you deal with the terms and conditions beforehand, and money can be like fucking sticky. And the other little caveat I would say is that like, it seems like Troy is still having a lot of their life like bankrolled by their parents, and living in Troy's house and in Troy's room was definitely an imposition on Troy's personal space. But I think that bill was fronted by Troy's parents. So if, you know, I can't imagine if it was me, I wouldn't feel like if I wanted to pay back for the money that someone spent helping me out, I would give it to them, not like their kid, unless they decided to give the money to their kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's a tit for tat situation because I don't think it applies to the same people.
Right. I agree. I also, it feels like if Troy like didn't say anything to Sharpay, didn't make any other arrangements with Sharpay to say like, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay this back, or hey, I need more time. I think that's on Troy. Like he should have said something to Sharpay. You can't just expect other people to pay your way. And then I think it's a luxury and a privilege that Sharpay is able to front everybody to begin with. And it shouldn't be something that's expected if you're taking another trip. And I completely understand where Sharpay is coming from. Like, it should not be expected for Sharpay to pay for everyone and then they pay her back. Like that's more of like a luxury. That's more of something that she's doing. I expect out the kindness of her heart, but like that shouldn't be an expectation that everyone has. That this is how it's always going to be.
Yeah, because it didn't work the first time. Like it was like, oh, it didn't pan out how it was supposed to. Also, how expensive was this trip? Because if he still owes about $1,000 and like was paying monthly installments and then just stopped this month, and it seems like it's back in August. Yeah, this just also seems like, you know, it might have been out of his budget to begin with. And at that point, like, as a friend, I don't think that I think that like he has agency with whatever he wants to do. But I do think that like planning a trip that someone can't afford and needs to be like on a payment plan for, I think if you're going to front that cost, I think it is, if you're the one encouraging them to do it and offering this as a solution for them to be able to pay for it, I do think it's kind of like, you might not get your money back. Like you know, we've always said this before, like in an ideal world, obviously circumstances and situations happen, but like you shouldn't be loaning money that you're counting on to like pay your bills with. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay people back, but I hope it didn't put Sharpay in like a tough financial spot because she makes 6 figures, but and then you're saying that she has over 300 in stock. You don't have access to that stock money until you pull it out, and there's penalties and things applied to it. And just because she makes 6 figures doesn't mean that everyone else should depend on her. I think first, you know, it's something that she did that was nice, but like, and if everyone can't afford to go on the trip that's being proposed, then y'all need to do another trip that's less money, or the people that like, I don't think that y'all should be taking trips where Sharpay is putting up all the money first. Yeah. I also think that like expensive and like lavish trips can be fun, but the most fun that you're having is you're spending time with like it's the people and the company and all of that. And at a certain point, you don't really want to like price out your friends, like where it's just like, oh, we're in different like tax brackets. And so now we don't spend time together. Like it's a really quick way to build resentment. And I think that the situation shouldn't even have happened to start with, but I don't think you're wrong for thinking that like Sharpay should be paid back. And I also don't think you're wrong.
I think your husband's wrong.
I think your husband's wrong. And I don't necessarily think that you're wrong for taking the trip without him if he can't, but I just would caution you to know that like everyone's financial situation like is not necessarily so stable. And if the things that you do and the social activities have then priced out like a friend who otherwise is like great and you would enjoy their presence there and like you love them and really care about them, but they just can't afford to do those certain things, your financial situation's not permanent. It could go away and you could end up being in that position. So I just think it's good to also not rely on money for, you can throw money at problems when it comes to travel, but I think there's something like really good about like learning how to do things and see the world more affordably, because then you'll consistently be able to do that through your life versus just when you have a lot of money or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So does that make the writer Gabriella? I would just like to know.
No, right? Because Gabriella and Troy are together, correct?
Oh, so then you would be maybe Zeke, because Zeke loves.
I don't know. I'm too far in.
Zeke is the hot. Zeke is
now.
Oh, Zeke is
From
the one who
General
is hot.
Hospital's
Who's exactly? Yes,
son.
The hot one from soap opera.
All right. Hi, Megan and Melissa. I love the podcast. I'm a female, 29 years old, she, her, from Spain, and a fat woman. Yes, that is relevant. A few weeks ago, I had to get an ultrasound to check on something unrelated to my weight. The tech that performed the test, him, asked me if I had considered getting a bariatric surgery because I was so beautiful that it was a shame that I had this body. I'm working on my body image issues with my psychologist, so I was chill about it and told him that I don't want that for me. After a few minutes, he insisted, so I told him that being fat is...
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Not related to my beauty or my worth, and he immediately flustered and said, "Don't worry, I like curvy women." Then he realized his comment was out of place. I walked out of the hospital laughing about it with my mom, as it did not affect me. However, now I feel unsure about my reaction. Am I wrong for not registering a complaint about this situation? I know that if I was in another place mentally, that would have affected me a lot. So now I think I should have done more to protect me and other fat people that navigate a pretty fat-phobic medical environment every day. Thanks. Whew, I hate this person so much.
Some people just don't need to talk. Like
they don't need to talk because they're like, it's not, he like insinuated that being fat made you ugly, but then said that he liked curvy women. So he's like, but he said that you were beautiful, but like your body was shameful.
He's like negging you.
He's negging you. He's like hitting on you, which is inappropriate on top of the other things that he was doing that was inappropriate. This was actually like, have you seen Shrill on Hulu? It's Aidy Bryant's show.
I wanted to watch it.
It's really good, but there's an episode where she's at the doctor's office and she doesn't have her regular doctor and somebody's subbing in and they tell her that they should have surgery too, like the same thing. But she's like on the show, she's a reporter. So she wrote about, like at first she kind of had like your kind of reaction, like, no, and I'm fine. And then once she got in the car, she was angry and was like yelling things at the doctor, but then realized the doctor had headphones in so they didn't hear it. And then later she wrote about it and the hospital got a lot of complaints, or the doctor's office got a lot of complaints about it. So like you, writer, don't always have to be like fighting for, like you can react to things in however way that you want to react to them. You don't always have to be like I hate this word, but like social justice warrior, because because of the situations that you're in or that you go after. I don't think that you're wrong. But if you are like feeling a little unsure about your reaction and you do feel like, you know, like if I say something, then it does help other people down the line, then, you know, go for it. I don't feel like it's too late to ever do that, but you can do that on your own accord and only if you want to do it.
Yeah. And you can also have like a multifaceted reaction. Like you can be like, oh, I've done all of this like self-work and like have worked on my body image. And so like this comment doesn't get to me. And it doesn't mean that if you file a complaint that the comment did get to you. Like that doesn't negate any of the work that you've done. Like you can laugh at something and be like, this is idiotic. Like this this doesn't affect me. Like this person is wrong and so out of their scope of what they should say. This was so inappropriate and it's not keeping me up at night, but like I can file a complaint and say something to it. Like I think you can look at that as there's different shades of, you know, if someone in this, not to compare it to something so trivial, but in the sense of like you see someone who is like parked in kind of like a crooked way or something. And you're like, oh, this doesn't really bother me. But you're like, whatever. I'm just going to go to the worker and be like, hey, by the way, I don't really care. But just so you know, someone's parked a little crooked there. And like, but it's not like, I'm going to tell you, blah, 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 blah. Like there's different ways that we go about in our daily life where it was just like, oh, this is kind of a nuisance or this is kind of a small thing that I'm just going to pop in and let them know. But again, it's if you have the capacity to do that and it doesn't have to be like an emotional kind, it doesn't have to come from an emotional or a hurt place or even like protecting other people place. It can literally just come from like really straightforward black and white, like, oh yeah, this is not how it's supposed to go here. So I just thought I would let you know, like it's going to rain tonight. Like it's you can just say it as a fact because that is what happened. I just would love to know if Spain, I would assume it's kind of similar to some of the medical system here, but like ultrasound techs can't even tell you what they see on your ultrasound. Like they can't even like diagnose you or tell you what they're like, oh, your doctor has to be one to interpret these results. So if that is the case, this man can't even tell you what he's seeing on the ultrasound or what condition you're there for, but feels comfortable enough to say this. Like, okay, for sure. Just stop fucking talking. But yeah, I think that like I personally regret not having reported a therapist that I had or it's a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist kind of combo at Kaiser Permanente, where they have the greatest mental health service. That was dripping with sarcasm. And now that I'm like time has passed, I regret that I didn't report him and I don't have the info on him to like report him now. But I know that like at the time I was not capable of that. And like it took more learning and more growth for me to feel like I had agency and knew that what they did was wrong and it wasn't like my fault and it wasn't on me or anything like that. So I think if you're at that place, I don't think that you'll regret it. And even if you send one message and they want to have a follow-up and you're like, I don't really want to continue this more, like you can bow out at any moment. But what a fucking dipshit.
I agree.
Okay. So I need to know if I'm wrong for thinking this is weird. I just want to say I fucking love when something starts like this. I'm just like, bitch, I'm fucking in. Like seatbelt buckled, ready. Let me put my fucking glasses back on.
My glasses.
My boyfriend, 25, he, him, and I, 23, she, her, have been dating for over 6 years now, and I honestly have no complaints. However, I just found out he kisses his mother on the lips. This man has never given me the ick until now. I guess I just have never noticed that he does this before. Him and his mom have a good/healthy relationship, and I have a good relationship with her as well. I obviously wouldn't break up with him for this or make him feel weird about it, but is it weird? Is it just that I was told that I couldn't kiss my dad on the lips after like age 10? Am I wrong for thinking it's weird?
Meghan just dramatically took her glasses off.
If you're wrong for thinking it's weird, I don't want to be right. I also think it's weird. And I understand that there are cultural differences. And that's fine. But if you are not telling them like, oh, you're disgusting, this is awful, like you're incestual, like blah, 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 like you're allowed to observe things and go, that is weird. That is not, and weird doesn't mean bad. Weird doesn't mean dangerous or problematic. It just means that it's not something that you grew up around. So it can be off-putting to you. So I think if you have observed that their relationship is healthy, okay. But I am naturally thinking of the Tom Brady video. Is anybody encouraging this kiss a little bit more, as in Tom Brady and forcing his child to give him a kiss? Because if it's two people who are equally into it, but
don't
if your
say into it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. But if it's two people who are equally participating and consenting to participate, then okay. But if one person is a little more gung-ho than the other and it's out of obligation, I think that cultural norms aside, I don't think anyone should be doing something that they are uncomfortable with.
Yeah. The thing, I personally wouldn't use the word weird. I would just say it's just not for me. But this is not something that I do. I do not kiss my father or mother on the lips. I don't kiss anyone that I'm not having a intimate romantic relationship on the lips. It's not for me, but I do understand. I mean, I remember when I was in 6th grade and my friend's dad dropped her off at school and they kissed each other on the lips. And I thought that was not for me. And I didn't know people still did that at that age. But I mean, some people do. Culturally, they do. And then just some people in their own households do that. Again, not for me. This reminds me of a video that I recently saw on TikTok where this girl posted a video of her mother-in-law at their wedding giving her a lap dance that they ended up on the floor and the mother-in-law was like humping her and they were both into it. Again, not for me, but if that's what they want, that's for them.
But I will say in that context, I don't want to see it. Unless I signed a waiver.
It just ended up on it ended up on TikTok where someone posted a video of the bride sitting, down and the mother-in-law gave the lap dance and they ended up on the floor and then somebody stopped it and said it was a stitch and said, "You'll never guess what their relationship is." But the thing is, I know a mother-in-law dress when I see one.
I was about to say, was she wearing an Adriana Papel beaded gown? Because I could tell you.
And I was like, this is not okay. But, okay for me. But if that's what they want, great. If that's how they see themselves being close, if that's what the woman's son likes to picture his bride and mother humping each other,
stop.
Then that's for them. It's not for me.
Yeah, that statement had no judgment in it. None whatsoever. Ooh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I would also find it unsettling, but also, I acknowledge that I don't even like watching people kiss on TV. Like my parents didn't kiss. I didn't watch people kiss growing up.
Yeah, my parents don't kiss around us either. Well, they did, and then we thought it was gross, and then they stopped.
Yeah, so I already know that I have intimacy issues, and I have issues with I will want couples to get together on a TV show, and I'll be like, oh, are they gonna kiss? Yay! Oh, I can't watch it. I'm screaming and covering my eyes, but I want it to happen, but I can't watch. My therapist was like, this is fucking weird, and I was like, yeah, I know. But I mean, to be fair, I'm actually better with it in person. If my friend, I'll look away, but it's just weird. I don't know. Maybe it's also the actor thing on camera, but I think that like you said, weird might not be the right word choice for me. I don't think of weird as weird is to me, it's just different. Maybe it's because I was called weird so much. I had to embrace it as it's just, slightly different. But I think I don't think it's the most common thing. So it would be natural for you to, have a reaction that's whoa, I didn't know that was happening. But at the same time, if you didn't know, I think then that probably means that the relationship, if it wasn't this explains a lot, pretend you never saw, pretend you never knew. Mm-hmm. Just pretend they don't.
I mean, I find it interesting that in the last 6 years, this is the first time that you're seeing it. Did they hide it from you before? Are they comfortable now?
No, if they were hiding it, that
makes it weird for me.
No, that makes it.
I won't say before it was weird, but now it's weird if they were hiding it before.
No, if they were hiding it, it makes it the kind of weird that you're this doesn't make it kooky, goofy, quirky, Zooey Deschanel weird. That makes it
weird.
I'm pausing. Mm-hmm. So it's different.
It's different. Again, not for me. if you want to have children with this person too, you have to make it known that this does not make you comfortable and it's not something that you would like that your children to do.
My question is, what if it's just a family thing and not culture related at all?
I mean, if it's just a family thing, that's still like culturally for you.
I guess that's true. I'm just curious because I think like in certain cultures where it's like that's the norm. And it's like, if you don't, you also have like context of seeing other people within your culture participating it. You see like on movies and TV shows and just social circles talking about that kind of a thing. And part of me wonders if you didn't know for 6 years and it was kept a little quiet, like, is this a shameful thing from his perspective or her perspective? Like, if you're going to do it, then
just do it.
Then if you're going to kiss your kid
for you.
Exactly. Like you should fucking do it at Panera. Like you kiss your mom on the lips at fucking Panera. You're picking up dog poop, like whatever it is. Like it shouldn't be, if it's only something like, oh, we just do that inside the house. That's weird. I have more questions now.
Please write back.
Keep it in the family. Has she ever tried to kiss you on the lips? And who leans in? Like, is it 50-50? Is it like, give me my kiss, or come over here, let me put one on you?
Or they just hug and kiss.
Yeah, that's the
Hollywood way. All right. Next one. Hi, Meghan and Melisa. My current roommate and I have lived together all through college and even now, during this first year out of college. However, post-grad has been an adjustment. I work from home full-time and have made a lot of new friends this year. With these changes and the amount of time I spend at home, I feel like it's time for me to separate, and I've made the decision to not renew my lease with her and move into my own apartment alone. I did give her 10 months notice. We have a 12-month lease regarding my decision so that she would be able to make new arrangements. But recently, she has been really distant with me and claims that the moving situation and having to potentially live alone have been causing her immense stress. She doesn't have a full-time job, so I've been attempting to find various resources that could provide rental assistance and support, but she doesn't seem to want my help. So am I wrong for not going back on my decision to live alone, even though I'm causing stress for her financially and mentally? Thanks so much. No, you gave her 10 months.
I think you gave her too much time.
Like 10 months is plenty of time for her to make arrangements, to find rental assistance, to find another roommate, to figure things out. Like you have a obligation to the leasing office, not your roommate. I know that like you've lived together through college and everything, and she's probably having some separation anxiety, but y'all are adults. At some point, you're going to need to separate anyway. And so, you work from home, you want your own space, and you've got new friends, and you grow. And sometimes when you grow apart. And so you gave her ample time and you tried to help, which I don't even think that you should be helping her. Like she should be figuring things out on her own.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I think that 10 months is way too much time. Like I would be shocked if things didn't get weird, because that means you renewed your lease 2 months ago. So if I was in her shoes and we'd been living together, like not even like, I'm not thinking that I would have a guarantee to live with her next year, but like 2 months into like just having renewed our lease. And then it's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to live alone after that. Like I would be like, oh shit, did I do something? Like what happened? Like what's in my mind that it feels like you might have regretted renewing the lease in that situation. And I think like in theory, giving as much notice is good, but like I think you kind of screwed yourself over, because I would have given like 4 months notice, maybe 5, but I think 10 makes it look like you're regretting your decision to live with her. So like I think it would make sense if things got kind of weird and then she didn't want your help, because it maybe felt like you were trying to push her out without and like it feeling guilty. Like I don't think you should feel guilty at all. I don't think you should go back on your decision. Like I think it's the right call. I just think that you gave too much notice, and it's kind of like
thinking about that that you just re-signed another lease
2 months ago. And then it would just be like, oh shit, like, okay. And then that makes the whole fucking next 10 months. It's like giving notice that you're going to quit your job like 6 months in advance. And it's just like, well now, or like you're going to break up with somebody 6 months in advance. You're like, well, now this is fucking awkward. Like, how do I, like, what's our relationship like now? This is kind of weird. And it's not a time when she just already like just finished signing a lease and now is like, fuck, now I have to think about this next one, when in reality, you know, it could have been 4 months beforehand, which is more than enough time. So again, I don't think you're wrong, but I do think you could have potentially mitigated some of this awkwardness, weirdness, and stress if you hadn't done this 10 months early.
But I also think that the writer was thinking that, you know, I'm giving them time to save money and figure things out. But
yeah, I would have just done it before you signed the if like you wanted to give way more than enough time, I would have done it before you signed the last lease. And like when you're talking about renewing and being like, okay, so like, how about we like, let's renew just for 1 year. I think like next year I want to like live alone and do my own thing. So like, this is going to be our last year living together. Like, it'll be so fun. Like, this is our like final hurrah. And then we'll like, you know, still be friends, but have a different place there. So she knew what she was getting herself in for. Because at that point you could have been like, oh, I don't want to renew this then.
But the writer might have come to the decision that, you know, like later.
Yeah, but then something definitely happened, and that's why it's weird.
Or they just like, you know, they realize I've been working from home so much, and I just need my own space.
Yeah, I think it's valid, but I think my whole goal is mitigate the awkward when you can, especially in situations that you like live in, and you know, you live and you learn.
Yeah. All right. Time for a break.
Woo! And are we back?
We're back.
Hi. Now it is time for But Are They Wrong? Where we nominate the worst of the week, the worst of the month. To be fair, we actually have not recorded in a while. So this means that we have a plethora of things to choose from because people are constantly doing shitty shit all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was off the grid for a minute. I didn't know what was going on.
Kanye is still being Kanye. Elon is still being Elon. What else? QAnon is still QAnoning. There's a crossover of all three of those.
There's always been.
No, yeah, we're dealing with RSV, COVID, and the flu, and we're also dealing with the same trifecta: Kanye, Q, and Elon, hitting on both ends. So I would like to nominate the Atlanta nurses who posted a TikTok of their icks. These are labor and delivery nurses. And they posted a TikTok of the icks that they have with expectant parents who are giving birth in the hospital. So they were all fired. I'm just going to give you the heads up before we get into the egregious shit that they've done, because I have never even given birth and my blood was boiling. So anybody who is pregnant and or has recently given birth, I wanted to give you the caveat that they have been fired. So you can unclench your fists and know going into this that this is horrific, but there have been repercussions. So fun little fact, they all work at Emory Hospital, aka Mott's alma mater. I was like, oh, and now can't wear my Emory lacrosse sweatshirt. It's in Atlanta, and that it's one that people who might have more complications in their pregnancy or that they're being sent there. So if you haven't seen the trend, so people are doing, it started with like couples and relationships and friends, siblings. I've been thinking that we should probably do a virtual one where we talk about each other's icks. It would be funny. And so the nurses hopped on this trend and they decided to say the icks that they have about their patients. So even just that as a whole, I'm like, no one thought that was a bad idea. Okay, for sure. So how many is quartet? 4?
4.
So this from New York Post. A quartet of Atlanta nurses have been fired based on their viral TikTok video. So one of the quotes is, We already told you to push the call light, but every 5 minutes you have a family member coming into the front desk asking for something else. Excuse me, she says. Can I have some water? Excuse me, can I have a blanket? And it's a minute long and they just keep going on and on. One of them that was like, oh my fucking God, was like when mothers ask how much their baby weighs while they're holding their baby. And it's just absolutely fucking horrific. So one of the people commenting on it said, imagine saying these things with women at the most vulnerable moment of their lives. And Emory made a statement saying this video does not represent our commitment to patient and family-centered care and falls short of the values and standards we expect every member of our team to hold and demonstrate. And they were all fired for it. But I think what's specifically not talked about, I mean, it's talked about, it's on my algorithm and like my Twitter and my Instagram, but it's not so much in these articles, is that Black women have the highest mortality rates, and the number of Black patients who are in at that specific hospital is far higher than other places in the country. And so you're specifically having Black women who might have more complicated births and pregnancies and pre-existing health conditions, and they're being sent to a hospital that has better care, and they already have a higher maternal mortality rate. And then this is going to be your response to that. Like, don't say that to any women in general, but like, I can't imagine how terrifying that would be. And I saw people on Twitter who were like, I'm supposed to give birth here, like in like 3 weeks. And like how fucking terrifying that would be. Already you're having to vet to make hope and make sure that you're going to be safe as much as you can. And then knowing that like, oh, cool, this is what you're saying behind my back.
There's also some former patients that have posted like, that was my nurse and this is how they treated me too.
Yeah. And you know, before anyone comes for us for saying the nurses are mean girls quotes, not all nurses are mean girls, but all mean girls are nurses. That is what it is. And like, it's just complain on your own time behind people's backs quietly, not on social media. Do it when you get home. Like if you're so unhappy with everything, like, and you want to bitch about people, I understand your job is hard for sure. Bitch about them. But like, you should know that like you're bitching about people in some of like the darkest and hardest moments that they're having to go through. And you should not feel comfortable doing that you shouldn't be comfortable doing that publicly, nor on a public platform.
Right. There's a lot of those ick videos at people's jobs. And I'm like, you don't say that. There's one thing, you know, to decompose after a long day of work and share maybe with a friend or a therapist or a close confidant about the things that you go through at work, but you don't say that publicly.
No. If you were curious what my face was, I think you said decompose, and then I was like, decompress.
Did I say decompose? I meant if I said decompose, I meant decompress. But
I don't know if that's what I heard, because then you finished talking. Oh, okay. She must have said decompress, and I heard wrong. But if you saw me, my face going.
If I said it incorrectly, that's what I meant.
I probably just heard it wrong. It's me. This thing that like, I can think of plenty of fucking things that will go viral on TikTok, but like, I'm not gonna like that girl fucking like one girl who licked a fucking toilet seat. Like some things will naturally go viral, but that doesn't mean that you have to do them. And there's going to be repercussions. Imagine pissing off pregnant people, like as a whole. Like I'm sleeping with one eye open. Like,
yeah. All right. So mine is my wrongdoers of the week are bloggers that call themselves journalists. And this, I'm speaking specifically today to the ones that are quote unquote covering Tory Lanez's trial. There's a lot of people that are quote unquote reporting what's going on with this trial. And it's either heavily skewed to make Tory Lanez look good or to try to make both Meghan and Tory look good. And Meghan is not on trial. So anything to make her look a certain way is not relevant to this at all. Like she's there as a victim.
Are they trying to make both of them look good or both of them look bad?
Both of them look better. Like both of them like look good and bad. Like they're like, I've seen people say, well, basically they're victim blaming and saying that this happened to her because she did this. I'm not like when things are popping up, I'm not specifically like once I saw that there was a bunch of mess being said, I'm not continuously reading, but there is a lot of mess being said. But they're trying to make both of them look like good people or both of them look like bad people.
Yeah. So like mutual abuse thing or like, misunderstanding, like downplaying. Exactly. Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so Meghan has not been charged with anything because there's nothing for her to be charged with. She also did not allegedly pull a gun on anyone. Tory did. So if you see people like tweeting or sharing TikToks or making blog posts about the trial, it's coming purely from like speculation and not like, or people inserting their own thoughts, and it's not a credible source. Journalists write facts. Bloggers may share some facts, but it's going to be mixed in with their opinions. Ethical journalists aren't biased. Blog posts are based on bloggers' opinions. Journalists embark on field work where they conduct interviews, they talk to different people, they take images to support their stories. They also have to answer to someone that they work for. That's why there's like editors, there's heads of newspapers. And like, sometimes the bloggers, they embellish things because they do things that make it more salacious so that people, because a lot of it's just clickbait or they want the fame from it. Journalists write succinctly. They don't add any extra things that make it more saucy. And there's no such, I've seen this being thrown around a lot called a citizen journalist. There's no such thing as that. Like you cannot, you're gossiping. There's no such thing as a citizen journalism. And also journalists have to be present at the things that they report on. You can't just read a bunch of things and then put all the information together and share your thoughts, because that's a book report. That's not being a journalist. That's what you did in school.
It's a BuzzFeed listicle.
Yes. And like most journalists have to have a degree in journalism. And my last note on this is that like a lot of what we consider like television news sources they're not journalists either. And I'm not just talking about like Fox News. MSNBC is filled with a lot of people that share their opinions. They're usually opinions that I agree with, you agree with, because it's a more left leaning, but it's still opinions. It's not facts. So when you're going to these credible sources, make sure that you're going to places where it's journalism based. I mean, there's a lot of like actual journalists on MSNBC. There's one or two on Fox News, but for the majority, a lot of it is opinion based information. So we have to be, careful when we're ingesting the news that's out there.
Yeah. And like, new like facts, people like journalists can like add their own opinions into something like after they've done their research, conducted their interviews and like their viewpoint. And you should be vetting the journalists that you listen to based on whose viewpoints you align with, because they are going like people are writing things to like skew a certain way. And right. Like sometimes for me, like I don't want to read something that's completely unbiased because I'm just like, I want to know that I'm reading something that is coming from someone who's going to approach it with the same nuance that I would. Yeah.
I don't like watching MSNBC because it's so skewed. I prefer like CNN is more central. Like CNN reports the facts, so it makes it seem like it's more left leaning because it's fact based. But like there's not a lot of like opinions shared in it.
Yeah, and like the thing that's different about like
same with NPR. I'll throw that out there too.
Yeah, like the same thing. The thing that's different with bloggers is they're taking the facts and crafting the narrative to fit what their audience will find entertaining. And the entertainment part is the part that's like, no, hard stop, like hard fucking stop here. Like if I want to watch someone entertain me with some like fucking salacious, wild news, I'm going to watch Trevor Noah. Like nobody can do a funny monologue like that. Like nobody can.
He's gone though.
I can't. I know. It breaks my heart. But there are funny like things like that that I respect your opinions, because I agree. I've vetted you and I've watched you and listened and read things that you've done. And like, I agree with that. And so like, it's nice to kind of get in that echo chamber and hear someone who's like saying all the things that I think, but you're saying them with multiple college degrees. And I'm like, yes, perfect, amazing. But like one of the people who's doing like the on-scene reporting for this is a creator named Adam22 who has like rape allegations against him.
Mm-hmm.
So, And like the same thing with the Depp Heard trial and Andy Singor, who's from Clever. And he was fired for sexual misconduct and still since then has had lots of people file complaints against him. And he's the one reporting on, quote unquote, reporting on that side of it. Like people who have something to gain there, like there's a huge difference between someone who has, you know, everyone loves his journalistic integrity and has gone to school. And again, like you said, has to report to the legal team where they work, has to report to like their boss and all of that kind of stuff. And also has to maintain a reputation so they can continue to do their job and get work. Those people aren't making thousands of dollars off of clickbait titles and all of this kind of shit. Like journalists aren't making millions of dollars off of a single article, but content creators are.
Yeah. And I'm going to say their jobs don't rely on people clicking. I mean, they do, but like their paycheck doesn't rely on like how many clicks this is going to get. They get paid a base salary. They're not going to make things more salacious because they need more views or clicks or people sharing.
And that was like the whole thing with like BuzzFeed News and shit, that it was like there was a company essentially trying to get people to treat the news like that. And it was like, no, that's not how reporting works in any sense of the matter. So yeah, I've seen all the shit that I've seen has been other people's commentary, the victim blaming shit. And also, like you said, like she's on trial. It's the state versus tort. Like it's
right.
I just think that if we can't have enough like knowledge of the legal system to even know like who's pressing charges against who and like who's coming after who, then like stop talking about it. Yeah.
I saw Queen Kiki post a video talking about how it's a shame how people are placing blame on Meghan, and then also just because his album sonically sounded good, where he spent the whole album gaslighting her.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit. And it's, again, it's like the same thing that happened during the Depp and Heard trial, where you have people who like genuinely don't give a shit about either of them, but who like just love to take a woman down and love to defend any reason to physically harm a woman. And then they get to hop on there and then they rile up the rest of the people who might not have been as like violent and disgusting and all of that shit. And then it becomes, oh, you're poisoning other people's hearts and minds. And then she's left to deal with that shit. I feel so fucking bad for her.
Yeah. We love her.
We love her and we stand with her, and fuck anyone who is against her. Fuck anyone who's made any comments against her. Drake. I don't. Aubrey. You know your shit. Did you see that fucking diamond necklace thing?
Yes.
Does he look
fucking weirdo?
Does he look in the mirror every morning and go, I am embarrassed? Like, is he embarrassed to see his reflection? Because everything he does gives me such fucking secondhand embarrassed cringe.
He's not embarrassed because we know what this necklace symbolizes. So like, we shouldn't know.
No,
you know?
like
like if he wanted to do this for himself, great. But we shouldn't know why. He's not embarrassed.
Like, somebody get this man therapy and like a long, long vacation without his phone. Like I have just never seen such a famous, like, where's my hug guy? I can't. You couldn't waterboard that fucking information out of me.
No, but he wants attention. He wants to get those women that feel like they can fix a man, or they feel sorry. He wants people to feel sorry for him. Drake's just a broken soul that hasn't found that person that loves him and treats him the way that he needs to be treated.
If I'm going to fix a man, it's going to be Maddie Healy. It is not going to be Drake.
It's an interest for some women. Not me. That's for them, not me. In the same way kissing parental units on the mouth is not for me, Drake isn't for me either. All right. Well, that's the end of today's episode.
Anyways, that is it for our episode. We hope you all enjoyed. Like Melissa said at the start of the episode, if you want to vote, which you should vote, might I say, please listen to the episode, because some people are like, I'm just guessing, LOL. And we like to have somewhat accurate of stats. Like if you're like haven't listened yet and you're not going to listen before the voting like closes because it's only after 24 hours, then like vote on the things that you know. Like if it's the wrong of the week, if you already know that kind of thing. But we like, you know, we want to have the numbers. We'd like to, when we report on Friday, to say what the averages were, what people voted with, and don't skew our metrics because we already have to account for the missed taps, the missed clicks.
Right. The hanging chads, if you will. You don't remember that from, well, you were little, from when your lover, Al Gore, was running for president and he lost because in Florida, they used to have these things called chads that you'd poke little holes in, and some of them were hanging, so you couldn't tell if they came off or not. And so they were just counting those as Bush votes, even though they weren't necessarily Bush votes. And this is when there was a Bush that was governor of Florida as well. So that was the whole thing. It was the hanging chads. And so really funny. when you miss votes, you're the hanging chads. And who wants to be called a chat?
Nobody. By the way, did you know he's teaching a fucking masterclass?
Who?
George W. Bush.
Yeah, like the one that's the masterclass. Yeah.
The masterclass on authentic leadership. And here's the thing. I think it's just a missed opportunity because truly what it should have been is how to be a war criminal president and still somewhat lovable for a lot of people across America. Like, come on. It's like it should have been how to be a himbo. Like that is like legitimately
I think how to be a himbo is perfect because he was oblivious to a lot of things that were going on because he was just the face. He wasn't the actual president.
No, he is the presidential himbo. Like, yeah. That should be your masterclass. Authentic leadership. I'm sorry. Is it Dick Cheney giving this masterclass? Because let's call it spade a spade. Come on. Come on. Okay. That's it. We will circle back next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Meghan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMont, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the co-hosts of the Christmas. Let me try that again. Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be massively merry, gigantically jolly, fantastically festive, as some people might say, Eric. We are all about alliterations, and we are all about Christmas spirit. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's go. It should be like, let's go, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.